Hi, everyone. This is Tom Parmalee, the founder of funeralvision.com. And I'm here today with someone who really needs no introduction, Coleen Ellis. Thanks so much for joining me, Coleen.
Tom, we're back. We're back together. Love
Yes,
it.
it's great. It's great. We've worked together on many occasions in the past, so it's so great to see you again. First, almost everyone is familiar with you, but for those who are not, you opened the first standalone pet funeral home in the United States back in 2004. I guess one of my first questions for you is, was it hard for you to overcome all the naysayers? Because I'm sure they must have spoken up at the time.
They did. Yeah, they did. And they were pretty vocal about it too. So, I had to kind of get my mindset, Tom, into a position that said, this is different and it's new and it's change. And so not everybody is going to see it the way that I see it. But I knew in my heart of heart, I knew my research, I knew my data, I knew all that kind of stuff, that it was time, based on what was going on in the pet care industry, it was time for a different model. And loving pet parents like myself, wanted something different. We wanted more of an experience. We were humanizing them during their life care. And so it only made sense that in their death care, they got humanized as well. And so I knew it was time for another model. And, I always kind of like to say, and by gosh, don't take this wrong, that I'm equating myself with Henry Ford. But back in the day when he was inventing the car, and people said to him, did you go talk to the people about what they wanted in transportation? And his answer was no, because they would tell me they wanted a faster horse. This is different. And so I kept that in my mind. This is a different kind of service, a different business model. And I needed to stay the course because I knew it was right.
That is so great, Colleen. So we're 20 years further now, right? And do you think the profession is where it needs to be in terms of serving pet parents and giving them resources to deal with their grief and all that goes along with the death of a pet? Or does more work still need to be done there?
More work still needs to be done. I think it still is rising to the forefront, especially for pet parents to be more educated on what their options are. We have going on in the pet industry now a lot of what went on in the human death care industry, with acquisition and large players now becoming a part of our industry, our pet death care industry. And so I think a little bit of the concierge model is out there and is open for opportunity. And I know when I have almost weekly conversations with investors, they still use the lens of a volume model. They still use the lens of route trucks and working through veterinarians and handling death care on a larger scale versus a more boutique concierge scale. And I just see that concierge boutique kind of a service, very high level of care, very high touch type of services. There's a huge opportunity for that out there. And boy, I pound my fist on that, Tom, because I want that for every pet parent who's like me, who wants a visitation and support and more than just my pet being put on a truck in a bag and things like that. I didn't treat them like that in life, and I certainly don't want their end to look like that either. So there's a lot of work that still can be done.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talked a lot about investors and so forth. Now, you played a pretty big role in that in your own right, in terms of helping bring private equity into the space and that. Can you share a little bit about your experiences there and sort of your takeaways of having your foot in that world?
Yeah, there's two ways you can look at that. And private equity or venture cap guys, whichever venture cap folks, whichever way you look at it, to do a volume kind of an operation is a short putt, and it seems to make the most sense. And from a quick turnaround, process, which is how PE and VC might work, that seems to be the answer. And you really do have to have a different kind of a stomach, Tom, to do a high touch concierge kind of a business model. And I think once a VC or PE kind of a company is willing to take on a model that may have a little bit more extended time for a ramp up, then that's going to be a good thing. I know my last operation that I was a co-founder of here in the Dallas area, and we actually, by the time we sold, we're all over the country. We had supporters from the private equity world, and it was a beautiful thing. And they believed in a healthy mix of a B2B, B2C, and a B2B2C kind of models. And so we were able to execute on all of those, which was a really good feel.
Now, I have to ask you about your current fur babies. Who are they? Tell us a little bit about them.
I got two pups right now, spoiled, rotten pups, and we lost our kitty cat back in February, so that one kind of rocked my world a little bit, Rudy, and kind of the last of the OG, if you will, in my group. But I got a 5-year-old flat-coated retriever, Albert, and then a 4-year-old spoiled rotten. Chris calls her my mini-me, Tom, because she's a little white, fluffy, hair sticks up, little princess kind of a doggy, and that's Beulah. I don't know if you remember, but I name all my dogs after dead grandparents. So we've now got Albert and Beulah in the house, and they run the entire house.
What a wonderful tribute.
Yes.
So today, I mean, you've had such an interesting and varied career in death care, all the way back to your days in pre-need. Now today you're mainly a consultant, correct? And just tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days, and how you can help death care professionals.
Yeah, I've got my fingers in a lot of things right now, Tom, which isn't a surprise for me saying that to you. I know that. So I just had my third book come out, which is right here behind me. So one of my veterinarian colleagues, Dr. Mary Gardner with Lap of Love, co-founder of Lap of Love, her and I developed 2 children's books this year. So those have hit the market. So I still love to take my hand in writing, and I love to learn from you on all the writing that I like to do. I do some mentoring, whether it's in the profession with clients who are maybe just looking for a little boost, and some business mentoring. I do some mentoring at my alma mater, at my college, and do a little mentoring there. I still love public speaking, so that takes me and keeps me busy and keeps me running. And do a lot of blogging, do a lot of podcasts and things like what we're doing right here. And then I've still got my fingers in, as I have had for the past 3 years now, as the executive director for the International Association for Animal Hospice and Palliative Care. So I've got that going on, and I serve on 2 college boards, my alma mater, Fort Hays State, and then also Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science.
What's the name of your book, and where can people find it?
So the 2 children's books are Forever Friend, and both of them, cat and dog, there's 2 of them, cat and dog. They're both Forever Friend, but when you go look at them, one is clearly cat, one is clearly dog. And they're on our foreverfriend.pet site, or even on Amazon. You can find them out there.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, your role as executive director at the International Association for Animal Hospice and Palliative Care, what is that like?
Oh my gosh, I can't even begin to tell you how it fills me up. So we are now 2,500 members strong, all folks that are dedicated to animal end-of-life care in hospice and palliative. And a lot of our members also are home-based, and so they'll come into the home and assist with euthanasia, assist with the hospice and palliative care services. But everything we do is about end of life, and how we can make that end of life journey be as peaceful, as memorable, as meaningful as what they want it to be. And just very proud. I took over this role at the beginning of 2020, and we've grown from 750 members to now roughly 2,500 members. And next week here in Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'll be bringing approximately 300 end-of-life professionals in for our annual conference. And it's a very rewarding position, Tom, and especially knowing the work that my members do out into their communities with people who look just like me is just, it just is so fulfilling.
Do you interface or interact with a lot of funeral homes, or is that an area that you're trying to, make that alliance a little bit more? Or
a lot of my members, I really stress to them to create a relationship with their local funeral homes, especially the ones who offer pet cremation. or pet death care services, just so that because I know it, and this used to happen to us too, as a crematory pet funeral home owner, where we got calls of families needing assistance with euthanasia. And so just to have that resource is a nice resource. I'm so excited because a lot of mine and you, Tom, a lot of our colleagues are coming next week to exhibit at this conference and bringing urns and things like that, because a lot of our members are starting to put in their own crematories. And so I want to make sure that they're connected with the finest people that you and I know from human death care, with memorialization products and tracking services and things like that. So I'm really excited that my worlds are starting to collide a little bit in a really beautiful way. And so I'm really excited to have this happen next week.
I'm so glad you mentioned sitting on the board of CCMS and Fort Hays University, and
Yeah.
something to add to your list now is philanthropist, right? So, because you offer the Coleen Ellis Career Enhancement Scholarship at Fort Hays, which gives an annual full ride to a junior, senior, or graduate student attending a FHSU. Why was it so important for you to do that? And kudos to you for doing so.
Thank you. You know, Tom, it was a dream that I actually started, and, you know, dreams become goals when you put the work behind them. And I remember being in college when I was that student that needed the financial help. And I always thought one day, I want to be that change. And so I set my eyes on that goal. And I said, one day when I'm financially able, I'm going to make it really easy for a student to go to school. And I selected a junior, senior, master's because I think by then, at least I knew for me, I kind of had my feet planted and I knew what I was going to be. And I, you know, all the fluff had gone away with my freshman and sophomore year. And I was ready to get my feet planted and know what I wanted to do. And that's the reason that one of the requirements I put in for the scholarship was to, and it wasn't a requirement, it was an element of the scholarship, is that I was available for mentoring. And with both of the recipients, I've been very active in doing some work with them and helping them, and very active in their worlds. And I love that. I absolutely love being able to do what we can do to shape the next generations and the next, you know, successes of our country.
Now, you also operate a website and business called Coleen.rocks. And that's allowed you to share your incredible story beyond funeral service. Tell us a little bit about that. And I'm curious, what groups have you spoken before that are a little bit different, or, you know, that have surprised you, and what have you learned by speaking before those groups?
You know, I'm still shaping that out and hold on to that thought. You know, that the reason that started is I've been very, very active with the International Association for Animal Hospice for years. And a lot of the folks, and including in my pet loss classes that I teach, I like to take motivational elements into what I bring to my speaking. And really this, you know, we've all got these things that we perceive as challenges or things that are going to hold us back. And I just wasn't raised that way. I was raised that everything is an opportunity. And if there's a barrier, you go around it, you go under it, you go over it, it's meant for that. And it's not meant to be a showstopper. And I want to deliver that kind of a message. I want to deliver that kind of a hope and support, if you will. And so that was the reason that Coleen.rocks started. And just as it was starting, as I was taking on this role as executive director. And so it's not received a lot of the attention that I've wanted it to receive, just because my hands have been full. But I will share with you, next week I am speaking at our conference here. And what I did was I created 10, actually 11, what I'm calling thought shots, that are to make you be the best that you can be as you get up in the day and you fight your journey and you fight your way through being an entrepreneur, and many times a solopreneur, and you feel like the whole world is hopefully with you, but some days against you. And so I've created stickers that I'm going to hand out, and we're going to talk about how will you take today and be better tomorrow and be the best version of you. And so those are the messages that I like to deliver. And I'm excited, you know, as I as I maybe get into a position of rewiring who I am into the next phases of my career, to be able to take that and expand on that a little bit. I think the biggest one, and you and I have talked about this one already, Tom, was my opportunity to deliver the commencement address at CCMS. And, you've got a bunch of funeral professionals listening to a pet death care person. And I had a lot of fun with that message. And I want to do more of that.
Well, not to throw more work on your plate, but for any people listening out there, check out Coleen.rocks. I have had Coleen spoken at some of the events I've been involved with in the past. She is incredible. She does her thing. She is reliable, shows up on time, and just is an incredible speaker. Coleen, thank you so much for joining me here today. Do you have any other thoughts that you want to share with the folks following funeralvision.com?
I'm going to jump off of what we started with. And if there's anything that I can do and share, a lot of people in pet death care services right now are maybe a little bit frustrated with some of the things going on in their market. I'm always here as a resource. I'm always here to challenge some thinking and to support some thinking. So if you feel like you're in a dead end, reach out. I'm here to help, and I'm here to help you see things differently, because I know it works. I made it work. And so I'm here to help with that. And if you need a motivational, just a little kick in the patootie, I'm here to help out with that too. I love those little motivational kicks.
Well, again, thanks so much, Coleen, for joining me today. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you.